Okay, so I'm kind of going to discuss here how I wrote one of my final exam pieces for Phil's course in Harmonic Engineering Part 1. And kind of doing this real cheap on my phone because I don't have a good screen capture software or anything. So you can see I'm using a couple of boxes real cheap. I got a Morley Wawa pedal in this top box here, and I'm using this bottle of garlic hot sauce to balance my phone. I hope it don't fall. So, I guess I'll just jump right in here. Okay, this is kind of what my exam entailed. It's part of it anyway. I was tasked to create a piece of music in symmetric harmony using passing 6 chords and passing 4/6 chords, including cycle 0 and doublings. So what this tells me already is that I'm going to be using harmony as a major component, and it is going to be in symmetric harmony. So those are two major decisions I didn't even have to worry about. Those are made for me. And these are some of the major decisions that I did have to make. And the first, I needed to include both group 6 and group 4/6. And group 6 is a it's like a structure 5 chord, or a basic triad with the root and the bass, followed by a third of the chord in the bass directly after it, which has to fall on a weak beat, and there's certain rules for voice leading in that. And group 4/6 contains a passing 4/6 chord surrounded by a structure 5 chord and a structure 6 chord with specific doublings of either 1 or 5. And that's basically that. I won't get into that too much. And I needed to decide on a number of tonics. I needed to decide a structural continuity, and I needed to decide a rhythmic continuity. So, next step here is, I listed all my number of tonics that I could draw from, kind of a small manifold. And I decided to use actually 3 of these. I wanted to go from 12 tonics, and I cut that in half and went down to 6 tonics. Cut that in half and went to 3 tonics. I just wanted to see what would happen here and what this might sound like. So, that's one major decision out of the way. And the way I did this, I didn't really do it like this. I ended up using a balance formula from the theory of rhythm and figured it out in kind of a weird way. But what it boils down to is I came up with the numbers 25, 15, and 10, which is really 5, 3, and 2 numbers from a summation series times 5. And it gave me 25 bars of 12 tonics, 15 bars of 6 tonics, and 10 bars of 3 tonics. And that totals 50 measures. And I ended up using a mixed cycles and groups formula, just found at the bottom of page 434 in the textbook. So I won't get into that too much, but to do this I used the fractional result in the 5 to 4, multiplied it by 2 to give me 50 measures. And here's that all spelled out, and I kind of superimposed bars with groups with bars with passing chords with bars without passing chords, and it gave me this harmonic continuity down here. And what I did here is I just kind of alternated instances of groups using passing 4/6 chords and groups using passing 6 chords. I just kind of plug those into the formula, so I got this. And this is taken right out of the textbook. I won't really explain this too much either. but I pretty much did this for every bar containing passing 4/6 chords. I just kind of alternated these and like kept going as the piece went along. So, set out to create a rhythmic continuity. And this was arbitrary. I wanted to use either 2 or 3 attacks only. And how I did this, I took the resultant of 5/2, which is has a total of 10 T. In this case, T means bars, capital case. And I multiplied it by 5, and that gave me this these numbers down here. And then I superimposed 2 plus 3 onto that. 2 plus 3, they're bars having 2 attacks or bars having 3 attacks. So that gave me this. 10 bars of 2 attacks plus 10 bars of 3 attacks, 5 bars of 2 attacks, etc. And since I was working with the number 5 here, I decided I was going to put the piece in 5/4 time. And so I went to the 5 family from Evolution of Rhythm Styles chart. And these were all the possible numbers I could have chose from having 2 attacks. And these were the possible numbers I could have chose having 3 attacks. And I just kind of crossed out the ones I didn't want to use. I didn't think they would work well for the piece. So I'm only using these. And which would give me 25 bars of 2 attacks and 25 bars having 3 attacks. This might be a little tough to look at. It was really pretty easy. I just took a set of numbers from the fractional resultant of 5/4. Like 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 and 2 plus 1 plus 2, and I used those in it's kind of like this. So I had 10 bars containing 2 attacks, and so all these bars have 2 attacks, all these bars have 3 attacks, and I just like kept doing that. So bars having 2 attacks, I have 3 plus 2 and 2 plus 3. I just kind of alternated those. So 3 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 3 plus 2, 2 plus 3, and so on. And I did the same with the bars for 3 attacks. And this is my total, this is my resulting rhythmic continuity here. Pretty much speaks for itself. Then I notated the rhythmic continuity, just the rhythm. And it's all spelled out here. That was pretty easy. And here I did something different. I color-coded the sections. I left the bars without passing chords alone, just left them black. Bars with 4/6 passing chords, I colored in blue. And bars with passing 6 chords, I colored in green. This was just a thing on Sibelius I did. It was pretty easy to do. So, and I like to look at things in a visual way, and this kind of helped me out some. And here I just kind of changed the rhythmic values of some of the bars, so that all the bars in group 6 and group 6/4 or 4/6, however you say that, were accounted for. Just some minor adjustments there. And here I labeled the sections. I have 25 bars of 12 tonics, 15 bars of 6 tonics, and 10 bars of 3 tonics, just so I know where I was going with it. Okay. For my 12 tonics, I started on B, and it's all chromatic. It's also a negative form, and that can be further explained later on, but basically I wanted to have 12 tonics in negative form, 6 tonics in positive form, and 3 tonics in positive form. So I would have notes going downward on the staff, notes going upward on the staff, and then notes going downward on the staff, and that's I won't really get into that too much either because that's kind of tough to explain. But these are the notes I ended up using for 12 tonics, and as it turns out, when it was exhausted, it ended on F sharp. So I started out my 6 tonics section on F sharp, and I would consider that actually cycle 0. And group 4-6 is also considered cycle 0 automatically. So that fulfilled one of the obligations of this assignment. And likewise, 3 tonics. I added my 6 tonic section on A flat, so I started my 3 tonic section on A flat. Just kind of how it worked out. So, next thing I did, this is a PDF here. Well, I'd already taken the rhythm. I added my tonic units to it, and I had 12 tonics to work with, so I just went straight in order: tonic 1, tonic 2, tonic 3, tonic 4, etc. And one of the things as far as group 4-6, you have to have this middle tone here would be the actual passing 4-6 chord. It has to be on a weak beat, as far as Schillinger's rule. And these other chords here you have to use the same tonic for the surrounding chords, and this passing 4-6 chord also has to be the next tonic that you would use. So I went tonic 1, tonic 2, tonic 2, tonic 3, tonic 3, tonic 4, and I did like that. Bars without passing tones, it's just straight tonics in order: tonic 9, tonic 10, tonic 11, tonic 12, and you start back with tonic 1. And this goes, this is a group 6, using passing 6 chords, and my 6th was undesignated, so I just left it an X. Hope that's all visible. And I just kind of did that throughout the whole thing here. And let's see. Well, I needed to include structures to it, so I just used general permutations of structure 1, structure 2, structure 3, and structure 4, being major, minor, augmented, and diminished triads. And I went ahead and I filled out all those in. Took a little while, but that was one major decision I had out of the way. I just used general permutations, and I made a list of those. Once the list was exhausted, I just went back to the beginning of the list and kept going throughout the entire piece here. So now I had chord structures for the piece. It was kind of easy. And I also labeled these 4-6 chords here, and in group 6 I labeled the like structure 5. This passing tone would be structure 6, and then structure 5 again. And that's kind of how I did that. Next step I generalized the group 6 sections so that it would have an even flow to them. And let's see, as opposed to let's see back here, say in bar 11, this is what bar 11 looked like before, and then I split this unit so that it would be to kind of carry on the continuity. So it's like this, and I did that for the whole piece. And let's see, this part here, I just kind of I took the sections without passing chords, and I just kind of arbitrarily assigned them either a structure 5 chord or a structure 6 chord to each. And the bottom note here for each triad is really the root tone. So some of these where I use structure 6, I alter this so that it would play the third. This is G, this is G, this is the third. I did that throughout that. And here I just kept them all structure 5. For these measures, I just did it like this. I just 5 5 5 5 6 5 6 5. Here I think I used a resultant, and I just did it like that, and then I kept the rest all structure 6. And that's that. Those structure altercations I made in the last slide, I just kind of applied here to the entire piece where applicable in the sections without passing chords. And I left these are all structure 5 chords, so I just threw a couple of doublings in there. I labeled them a doubling of 0 just because they're undesignated. They could either be doublings of 3 or doublings of 5. If it was a doubling of 1, it would just be the same chord as it is. And that's pretty much that. So here I applied doublings to the arrangement. Back before, let's see. Back before when I did this, it's group 6-4 up 1, group 6-4 down 5, group 4-6 up 5, group 4-6 down 1. And that's how I applied them here. It's like, oops, wrong thing here. So group 4-6 up 1. It starts off on a structure 5, goes on to a passing 4-6, and then it goes to a structure 6, double 1. And this is down 5, so it starts on structure 6-5, and it does like that throughout the entire piece. And here these structure 6 chords in the bars without passing tones, these are regular doublings, and there's actually a chart for that in the textbook. I don't have the actual page offhand, but I just followed the chart. So they're all considered regular doublings. And let's see, I don't need that. Where am I here? I'm stuck on the same page. Here's where it got a little interesting. I tried to write a melody to go along with the harmony here, and by doing this, I just kind of split the units up on. This was all arbitrary. There's really no method of the madness here. I used eighth notes here, so I used these this half note as a count of 4. So this would be like 1 + 1 + 2. I just kind of split these up rhythmic wise for the melody, and I use notes straight from the triads. Well, not just the triads, but straight from the entire harmonic structure, including the bass note, not the root tone, but the bass note. And I just kind of just did this by ear, like all the way through. Once again, using only notes from the harmony. No auxiliary tones or anything. And this actually took me a couple days to do. It was a little tedious, but well, then I voice led the harmony for the piano section, and most of it's all clockwise, like all the way straight through. And that wasn't too difficult. Some instances I had to go counterclockwise, like particularly for using group 4-6. One of the rules Schillinger states, going from a structure 5 to a structure 4-6, you have to go clockwise. So if you're going from a structure 6 to a structure 4/6, you have to go, I'm sorry, from a structure 4/6 to a structure 5, you have to go counterclockwise. And filled all those in, all the way straight through. So you can see this piece is like, you know, it's pretty much taken shape already. I haven't even really done much as far as just following through with some major decisions here. And here I isolated the violin part and just toyed around with articulations. Not the best job. I'm not really too great at it. I just kind of use my ear and just use slurs and some accents and stuff like that. And well, that's pretty much it. At the end I ended up getting this. And I just added the violin to the harmony and set my metronome, set my volume, kept it the same way all the way straight through. And I'll actually play it out. It might be the best sound quality here because I'm doing this on my phone real cheap, but I'll play it through, see how it sounds. This is the final product. Well, after this, I ended up using East-West sounds to make a final recording, but this is how it sounds using Note Performer on Sibelius. Okay, so that's that. Didn't mean for this video to go on so long. I was going to try and keep it under 10 minutes. It's going on a little over 24 here, but